again, it's a great pleasure once again to have with us a great friend of the industry of CCIA. Anna Eshoo has likewise served 2 decades in Congress, during which time she has been identified with and a leader of a wide range of issues important to our industry. As was mentioned, she serves on the Energy and Commerce Committee, is currently the ranking member on the subcommittee on Communications and Technology, and it is not a secret we have done something fairly unusual. Associations don't often do it, but we have indicated that we strongly support her effort to become the senior Democrat on that committee at the full committee level. We think her record, her effort on behalf of good causes that make sense, on behalf of the kind of concerns that our industry has as we become a bigger, more important part of the economy. Her leadership is not only desirable, but is in fact really necessary. We need that committee to be one of the two leading committees really that deal with our issues. We need it to be wisely led, and we hope Anna will have that opportunity. A recent example, just to throw out one of many things we could do historically, is how she immediately jumped in and communicated with letters with her colleagues about what was going on with regard to Twitter and Turkey and YouTube and being shut down, her commitment to internet freedom, to open internet access, to education in our area. Just over the years, it's a long list. And a leader in other areas as well, such as homeowner Bill of Rights and mortgage settlement resolutions. She has been there for us in many ways, and mainly there for her constituents in a way that reflects an understanding and appreciation of the future in our industry. And it is a great pleasure once again to have Anna Eshoo join us. Please welcome her.
Thank you, Ed. Ed is, well, I think the organization is just blessed to have Ed as its CEO. Everyone on the Hill respects him on both sides of the aisle. Kathy Sloan, your Vice President of Government Relations, is an absolute joy to work with, a real thoroughbred professional, respected, obviously, on both sides of the aisle when she speaks. When Ed speaks, members listen. Members listen, and that it speaks to the leadership of CCIA. So, was it a year ago that I was here? I mean, a whole year has gone by already. I can't believe that. Zoe's not in the room anymore, but a shout out for Zoe. I don't think there's anyone in the Congress that knows more, first of all, the depth and the breadth of our entire immigration system. She not only studied it, she taught it, she practiced it as an attorney. And so she is really a linchpin in the Congress to help make the changes that need to be made for the country. I don't know if she mentioned, I'm going a little off script here, that the CBO came out with a score of the bill, I think it was 2 weeks ago, $900 billion in deficit reduction alone. So if you just set aside all of the stories about families, people living in the shadows, what goes on the illegal side, and all that needs to be repaired on the legal side, this is a huge, huge economic win for our country if we can get this over the line. And there's really one person, it's the Speaker. If the Speaker announced today that he intended to place the bill on the floor in a handful of days or cut into our Passover Easter break to take a vote on it, it would pass. It would pass. So we're keeping our fingers crossed because this has to be bipartisan. Obviously, the Democrats would come up with the overwhelming number of votes. We need about 25 from the other side. and it would pass. So a shout out to Zoe, because she has, I can't begin to describe the in-depth, intelligent work she has done on this. And when we're successful, and God willing we will be, for the country's sake, Zoe Lofgren will be right up there as one of the key individuals that helped make it happen. So it's good to be back. It's beautiful out today, thank goodness. And we're heading home tomorrow evening, so I'm glad that you're having your conference today. I want to talk about the internet and obviously some of the threats that are posed out there, but also an issue that's going to come up later on today, because our subcommittee, my subcommittee, Communications and Technology, is going to be taking up, well, we're going to start. They're going to do opening statements on it, and I want to make some comments about that. So as we combat the threats to the free and open internet in our own country, and of course around the world, we're the model that the rest of the world looks to in terms of what we do and how we do it. And I think that first of all is something, well, I'm preaching to the choir here, but how essential America's role is in this. I think it's really fitting that you have your meeting here, because on the front of the building are the magnificent words of the First Amendment. And the building showcases, in fact, I had two very large student groups that traveled from my district to Washington. So many of them come at this time of the year. And I asked them where they had been and what they had seen and what they were impressed with. And the overwhelming number of the students have never been to Washington before, so this was their first experience. They said they had been to the museum. And I asked them if they had read what was on the front of the building. And many of them had, so we had a little discussion about that. And I thought it was important, in the 21st century, for them to appreciate what these words stand for, and that, they're not just some old words that were written over 200 years ago, that they live out in our day-to-day lives and the various manifestations of it. So it was a wonderful conversation. So the threats to the internet come in many forms, and you know what they are. They're driven by motivations that may be political, they may be economic, they may be both. But whether it's a broadband provider wanting to seek favor relative to its own content over a competitor, or an authoritarian government blocking access, as Ed just mentioned in his introduction to me, trying to block popular social media, our domestic and international policy goals are really the same, that we need to keep consumers and citizens in the driver's seat of their online experience. These threats are real. They're very real. They're not just things that we think of that could be. They are, and they're taking place around the world. And I think what we should be doing as a global community is to ensure that the internet remains an engine for innovation, for openness, for economic prosperity. 2 weeks ago, leading up to the local elections, as Ed said, in Turkey, the right to freedom of expression was violated when Twitter and YouTube were abruptly blocked. That says everything about a country. It says everything. You really don't need to know too much more. And to demonstrate the importance and need for internet freedom in Turkey and around the globe, as Ed said, once again, I introduced a bipartisan resolution calling on the Turkish government to reinstate access to these transformational instruments for social policy change. Now, they took several court decisions, and access to Twitter appears to be restored, but YouTube, I think as of today, still remains blocked unless something happened last night or early this morning. So Turkey is just one of many countries to violate internet freedom through the act of blocking content. And according to an analysis by Mother Jones, China, Iran, Vietnam, Pakistan, North Korea, and Eritrea are currently blocking Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter in some capacity. And when you look at the list of countries, in many ways, it's not a surprise. I mean, we associate the lack of freedoms in these countries, and of course, how they view the openness of the internet. They find it, let's put it this way, menacing. So it's not a coincidence that these are many of the countries who advocated vocally during the 2012 World Conference on International Telecommunications, we say WICIT, to put decisions of internet governance in the hands of government or intergovernmental control. So the question is, what should we be doing in the United States and around the globe to preserve the successful multi-stakeholder model for internet governance, while of course preserving the global internet principles of openness, security, stability, and resiliency? In the short term, I think it's critically important that the United States really walk the walk on this by standing firmly behind the multi-stakeholder model. And I stress that because this has been very carefully crafted and part of our internet history in the United States relative to not only a model, but an operating principle. Leading up to the WICIT in Dubai in 2012, both chambers of Congress, both unusual, right? Rare, unanimously supported this approach. Unanimously. In 2013, the House reaffirmed this position in a 413-0 unanimous, again, vote. Now, starting this afternoon, we're about to consider legislation restricting NTIA's authority to continue what's been the U.S. policy since 1998, which is transitioning the government's role in administering the domain name system to the multi-stakeholder global community. Go figure. Now, everyone that attended the 2012 conference in Dubai, our ambassadors, those that were part of the team that went to Dubai, came back and reported to us that the position that the United States had not only crafted but held firm on, there was not even a strip of daylight between any part of our government. The executive branch, the Congress, the entire team went there absolutely united. And when they came back and reported on what that impact was there, they said you couldn't place a price tag on it because we were a solid, unified team around the principles that we've talked about and you know so well and that you have advocated for. CCIA is known for this, So this approach, I think, reflects an ignorance of the history that got us to this point, and it contradicts the unified position that Congress has restated just merely 13 months ago. The world is watching. The world always watches what we do. We are instructive to the world. And I don't think this is the time. I don't think there's any time. But this is certainly not the time to turn our backs on a governance model that has enabled the internet to flourish. I just was so puzzled when this was brought up by my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. First of all, there shouldn't be any kind of partisanship around this at all. I don't know if it's some pressure from the outside, from people that just don't even understand how the internet works. But this is, I think, a march to folly. I sincerely believe that this is a march to folly. So longer term, we need organizations. Let me just circle back for a moment. Built into this model that I just referred to, the multi-stakeholder model, the elements that are in it, one would think, would be so appealing to my Republican colleagues, and that is that it's moving away from the origins within an agency, very carefully crafted to move to and away from any kind of government control. So, I mean, you'd think that that snapshot would say, oh, we are moving in the right direction. But I just, it really is, well, I think it's really cause for concern, and that's why I wanted to raise it today. Longer term, I think we need organizations with the experience and the credibility to bring together, and it is multi-stakeholder, government, civil society, and industry to tackle the issues head on. That is what the thinking was in terms of what a multi-stakeholder model would be. There's already work underway by the Global Network Initiative, by the Community of Democracies, and by the Open Government Partnership. And each one of them are really well positioned to ensure that the internet remains a platform for innovation, for openness, for economic prosperity, not only here in the United States, but around the world. So I want to thank CCIA for being really an unequivocal champion of internet freedom and for your critical advocacy. You are an enlightened voice in all of this, and I certainly hope that, well, I know that we're going to work hard to ensure that the internet is going to remain a success story for generations to come. Maybe these are just some of the bumps in the road. I doubt that this effort at the subcommittee and goes to the full committee, and then people will go to the floor and beat on their chests and say that they're there to protect the internet. They want it to be open, but this is I don't think it's a healthy turn for our country, and I stated all the reasons why. I don't think this Senate will do anything with it, but it is cause for concern because countries around the world are watching us, and we need to continue to have a unified voice on this. You're unified at one, then you take a dip and you're not. People always look for cracks, and I don't think that this is healthy for us. And again, I think it really ignores the history and the facts and the evidence. But then again, facts and evidence have not been high on the list, or respected by the Congress, I'm sorry to say. So, but it's great to be with you. And Ed, thank you for your wonderful words of introduction. I deeply appreciate what CCIA has done. I know that you have departed from a policy that you have held for a long time, and it means a great deal to me, but I think that even more so, it's an eloquent statement about the issues that we have to pay very high attention to in our country. So thank you very, very much, and I'm encouraged and excited about the undertaking, and we're working very hard to make all of you proud. So do we have some time for questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just start off because I wanted to say that you've spoken so far on the whole transition, and we have with us Secretary Strickland, and we
Yes.
also have Fade from the head of ICON today, and so it's a very important topic. But I'm going to take advantage of your other hat too, as such a knowledgeable leader on a wide range of other issues, and maybe talk about some of the FCC issues, some of the things that are happening there. There are important issues facing that the committee has a major role in. If you could just address a couple of those, that'd be great.
Sure. Well, let me just first acknowledge Larry Strickling, who is the Assistant Secretary. He just came and testified really forcefully relative to the stakeholder model. And thank you, Larry, for everything that you do. And when I say thank you, it's in capital letters with an exclamation point. And I admire you, your work, and your leadership, and the breadth and depth of his understanding of these issues really serve our country well. In the FCC, I would begin by saying I'm very pleased that the president nominated Tom Wheeler. I believe that he's a grown-up. He's a grown-up, and he knows these issues backward and forward. He understands the industry, or the industries surrounding the issues. Because he's a grown-up, he's not looking over his shoulder about where he's going to go next. You know, so I don't think he's driving with an emergency brake on. Let me say that. So I think that he's a serious leader at the FCC. He wants to get things done. He will always work in a bipartisan way, but he's not afraid of a 3-2 vote. I think when you have power, you have to use it. You have to use it. And so I think he's a very fine choice. There are a whole list of issues that need to be resolved. The whole issue of E-rate and how those dollars will be distributed. I think that across our country, certainly in our anchor institutions and our educational institutions, capacity and speed are essential. No longer are our kids going to one part of a classroom and sitting at a station to use a computer. They all have, their own laptops, and so I think it's essential that we have far more capacity and speed so that they can access anything and everything that they need to learn. You know that I brought up, we have to reauthorize Stella. And, this is not a gigantic bill, for heaven's sakes. I mean, I wish we could have just had our hearings last year, gotten the thing done. But you know that I feel strongly about retransmission and the issues, excuse me, surrounding that. There are, I'm trying to think, there's a whole list of things. Help me with this. Ask me a question about something specific. Those are I can't help but think of the E-rate. That really is the single largest educational program that we're involved in. It's not a sidebar issue. So, and I know that there will be different stakeholders that come in and want the money to go to something further down the food chain. But I think that we should be concentrating on those top two issues, both the capacity and speed. So, yes. Who had their hand up? Yes. Uh-huh. The whole issue of set-top boxes? Yeah. Well, this
Please
goes
use the
back,
mic.
this goes back a long way with me, because this is my 22nd year in Congress, which I can't believe. I feel like I've been here for 7, 8 years. But at my first term on the committee, the committee was doing the Telecommunications Act, and I had legislation on set-top boxes. So, and it was Jack Field said at the time, and he was the chairman of the subcommittee, that it was the one bill that really was forward-looking. And, the rest of it kind of reformed industries that had been around for a long time, the telephone companies and all of that. So now along comes this issue of set-top boxes, and, the Gene Green and, who is it, Green and Scalise? Is that who it is? Latta, Bob Latta, lovely guy. He really is. I don't know how much they know about set-top boxes, to tell you the truth, but it's what the cable industry wants. It's what the cable industry wants, and so when you look at the structure of the legislation, you can see that this group is taken care of a little bit anyway. Another group is taken care of another way, another group. So I think that's really the structure of what came out of the bill. But, when you look at set-top boxes, I mean, come on. I think that all someone has to do is have to move. You could have a set-top box in every room in your house, recently replaced by the nice man that comes in from cable, puts the slippers on, goes around, says, well, I think we need to replace these. I can't figure out what's wrong, but we're going to replace them. You keep paying for these darn things. So there's a lot of money involved in it. This is a ton of money, even though they say, no, that's not what's driving it. Well, what is? You take those set-top boxes and see who's going to take them back. You won't get a nickel on a dollar for them. And yet consumers are paying for this thing every month, and they want to block anyone else from moving through this. I mean, you have to go through more hoops and loops, and I think it's a source of embarrassment in our country. I don't know why anyone would think that this is great policy. And speaking of policy, what I've said, both to the chairman and to other members and in the markup, if you're going to take down a structure, you have to provide for another one. You have to provide for another one. I'm sure that the consumer electronics people either have the technology or could come up with the technology in a very short period of time. But there isn't any thinking about what the successor technology would be. So, you can tell where I am on this, but, the cable industry wants it. And now, that's where the House is so far. The Senate had its first hearing, I believe, last week on reauthorization of Stella. So we'll see what happens there. But it's a policy that really is very difficult, I think, to defend with a straight face. Anyone else? You're quiet.
Just one brief comment. Your committee has broad jurisdiction.
Huge.
And I think, we have obviously issues in Judiciary Committee as well, but I think the importance of a committee which is looking at the industry, energy and commerce, our industry is playing a bigger role in the national economy in all aspects of it. And I think it's vital that on a lot of the big debates that there be your voice and a strong voice that you could lead the committee on in making sure that as little specific issues are dealt with, they are understood in the context of whether or not it really promotes a dynamic innovative, growing, healthy technology industry. And I think some of what has been missing as we have piecemeal focus on different sub-issues, that at the end, having an advocacy for the importance and understanding how a lot of things can hinder and tie the hands of a growing, developing industry. And anyway, that's why, one of the reasons why we are so supportive of what you've been up to, and we'd like to see the kind of vigorous role. And historically, the committee has played a leadership role,
It has.
and it needs to be active and steadfast in that role. And we look forward to working with
Well,
you
I think
toward
we
that
need
end.
to, I think we need to up our game.
Yeah.
I really do. And I shouldn't have used the word game, because this is not a game. It's as serious as it gets. This is not just about the innards of how the internet works, and code, and who's doing what to whom. This subcommittee oversees 20+% today of our national economy. That's breathtaking. That's breathtaking, and it continues to grow. And it deals with every aspect of people's lives today. So when you take these issues on, it's not about one specific industry. We're talking about life in America, and how people are living and accessing these tools, and how they are revolutionizing countries, and how people think, and their thinking is changed because they have access to information. The nuns that taught me had on the front of our notebooks in Latin, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. So it's all about education. It's the workplace. This represents, too, it's a great source of pride to all of us, the genius of America. The genius of America. And it isn't a surprise to us that we would come up with something that really reflects what's engraved on the front of this building. So that's how important it is. And so thank you, Ed. Thank you to all of you. And your organization is so important in this. And I'm thrilled that you have the Assistant Secretary here this morning, because I think that he'll be highly instructive to you. And I look forward to coming back and giving you some great reports, all right? Maybe you can have an interim conference. How's that? All right? Thank you, everyone. And Ed, thank you for your exceptional leadership. Yeah.